Hello and welcome to the Isles Feel Bad watch party. We are all watching on our phones or computers the Foxwood Final Five, if you will, of this Islanders game. We've got Sterling with us today from what was formerly Isles X Cats and is now Isles Puck Life.
Island Puck Life.
Yeah. Island Puck Life. I'm bad at my job. James, take it away.
Honestly, now hearing that out loud, Island Puck Life, I think of those bumper stickers that are Salt Life. So thanks for that, Sterling. So Sterling, why don't you give us a quick update on, what you've been experiencing with the Islanders and maybe the Panthers? I'm guessing you've been watching both teams. And
yes, please give us an excuse to not talk about the Islanders for a second.
And then we'll roll right into recent games and, kind of vent a little bit about why the Islanders are never going to ever win the fifth cup ever in all time.
Correct. So really quick recap on the Panthers. Obviously, they had their infamous coaching change over the offseason, brought in Paul Maurice, started the season off very poorly. Been to a couple of games this season and they've all been losses. Goaltending has not been great towards the beginning of the season. Bob's having one of the worst years of his contract, but as of late, the team's starting to figure things out. They're getting some wins and some pretty convincing wins as of the past week. So as an Islanders fan, even though I know we have no shot of making the playoffs, just in case there was a little bit, I'm very worried about them finally clicking. And then, of course, with the Islanders, they started off a little poorly. Then I really thought they'd be back in the playoffs after they had a good first couple months after maybe the first 2 weeks. And in 2023, all the momentum completely died. And it seems like we can't win a game anymore. So that's my quick season recap up until January 19th.
Wow, that was a better version of Around the League in 60 Seconds, Tom. So I hope you let that sink in, okay, for next time.
I got to say, and the worst part, especially for Sterling, has to be that Wally hasn't even been playing. Like,
oh my God.
Him being Sterling's favorite Islander, right?
Yeah.
That's been tough. It feels like his development has just like every time there could possibly be something that could go wrong that he can't control, that happens. Obviously I've talked about it. I'll probably talk about it tonight. I liked Barry. I liked winning. But I will say that Barry, like when it came to developing Wahlstrom, that was just not one of his priorities, which was pretty tough. You invested a high pick into Wahlstrom. You really need a sniper. Shut up. No, why? Go ahead.
Because we did not see how Wahlstrom played in his second season with Barry, because obviously he only played one season with Barry, and Barry did the same thing. It seems like he did the same thing with all the first year, up and coming players. He did it with Dobson. Dobson's first year, he didn't play every game, and he had like a lower than team average ice time for the games he did play. And I thought, at least what it seemed like he was doing the same thing with Wahlstrom. He had roughly the same ice time as Dobson in his first year, wasn't playing every game. And then now in his second season, it's a different coach. And Lane Lambert seems to be playing him the same amount as he was his first season. But I don't know, like there could have been maybe some like injury or something we didn't know about. Obviously he's been out for, how long was he out for total? Do we know?
He's been out a good while. Actually, was it probably around Christmas, maybe?
Yeah, it was the pitch.
So over a month.
Yeah.
Or no, not quite a month. Sorry.
But also, I got to fact check our buddy James here, Mr. I'm rolling with my feelings tonight. Because Wally did play 2 seasons with Barry.
Yeah. It was 2 seasons?
Yeah.
So then how much did he play the very first season? Was it like?
So actually, you were right about ice time. Like ice time's always been tough to come by for Wally because he was playing third line mostly. Mm-hmm. This year, it sucks that he got hurt when he did because he was starting to get a couple chances with Barzy. And I think we were starting to see something come together there. And look, so many guys have been playing with Barzy that shouldn't be. I'd rather see Wally there when he's healthy. Honestly, we're at the point where, usually I'm like, hey, let's go by the merits, but nobody's been good enough. So like, why don't you just invest the time in this guy that, we spent a top 12 draft pick on in Wally. Dobson, definitely. James, I think you were right about like Dobson also. It took Dobson some time to like win the amount of ice time that he's had now. And you have to say that Dobson's probably, Casey's in, save. Casey again. You'd have to say that
Casey, the only player that seems like he's actually, getting any chances.
You'd have to say that Dobson definitely has progressed better than Wally. And a lot of that, like, Dobson's been healthier, which has helped Dobby. And also, like, with Barry, you feel like even an offensive defenseman has a better chance of breaking out under Barry than a forward, unfortunately. Barry just seems to be better at developing defensive players. Like, I think that's what we saw. But yeah, I miss Wally. It's not like he was playing incredible, but like, I feel bad for the replacement level guys that they've had to bring up. And like, I mean, a couple of Fashing's been like good. I like watching Fashing. Oh yeah. Fashing play. Oh, we should have just lost the game right there.
Yeah.
But I think I was saying to you guys, like, before we went live, but it's pretty, like, no offense to Martin and Cizikas, but they can't be the two best forwards. They can't be the guys that are like the only guys that look like they want to play. And that's what I feel like right now. I don't know. What do you guys feel like with the forwards?
I think I can't remember who just posted it, but during this Buffalo game, someone tweeted, the problem with the Islanders is that Brock Nelson hasn't scored in 15 games, and he's still the leading goal scorer on the team.
It's brutal.
Wow,
and
that is, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
There's also a stat. I think the Islanders are 12-0 when he scores. So like, yeah, I mean, that stat's looking pretty nuts right now.
Well, he scored in this game, so in a couple minutes we'll know if they're going to be 13-0.
Curious, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even I wasn't even thinking of the goal when I was talking about Cizikas and Martin being two of the only guys that look like they're really giving it their all out there right now. Like, but they've been working hard, they've created chances, and they combined for the go-ahead goal. As now I'm watching, I got 150 left on my MSG Go, which is, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I'm curious what you guys think. We talked about him last episode. He's had ups and downs, but this I'm kind of surprised that Sebastian Aho has been usable because in the past I've thought of him as really, really bad. And you know what? I met him in the offseason. All of a sudden he's good. I'm going to take credit for it.
Yeah, so I thought I liked his offensive play. I looked at his stats and his production is not very good at all. So I think maybe what I'm looking at more is like the transition game and whatnot instead of, a pylon and Chara or whatever. But I do like his play this season. He definitely grew from last one. And I really wanted Salo to be the guy this year in that sixth spot, but I really have no reason to take Aho out. I think he's won this spot, at least for now.
Yeah, I mean, and we had Salo, I think they were talking about this in the broadcast, played 7 games after Pelly got hurt. Wotherspoon played, I think, like 11 after that. And now this is Cholowski's like second or third. And I haven't really noticed Cholowski tonight. I always say with defenders, like, look, like my eye for the game is different than other people. If I'm not noticing a defender, that's pretty good. Like I don't want to notice you too much. Was there? Okay. One of our guys just ran over one of their, 2-on-1, Brock, shoot. 6 seconds left. I mean, at least they got a shot off. If that was Bailey, nothing happens. So I hate, like, the Bailey stuff is like easy, an easy target, but it's also correct. like very, very with Bailey, like I don't know. I said a few weeks ago, like, oh, that was Bo that got stopped. Nice.
Yeah.
I said a few weeks ago, like, I think he looks like afraid to play hockey right now. Like, the game is just too fast for him. Like all I hear, and by the way, we gave up 44 shots tonight. All I hear with Bailey is, from his teammates, who are not going to shit on him. His teammates are like, he's got great IQ. He's such a smart player. But like, how much does that matter if you can't skate? You can't like.
He's a hockey player, not a hockey teacher. Okay.
His brain is obviously faster than his movement at this point. Because you still like, even the last year when he also was bad, he would like pull the random, really cool play out of nowhere occasionally, because like there is some skill hidden behind his inability to shoot, his fear of the puck, his waning dad powers. He's been a dad too long at this point. You don't have the powers anymore. Now you're just tired. Like, you got to be a new dad. I'm telling Josh Bailey to have another kid. I think that is the solution to his struggling. We're showing Bo celebrate in the background of the game, even though nothing happened. I gotta say, with this is I have a quick second before overtime. So I think the MSG music is awful. I tweeted that a little while ago. I really like. I don't want to be like the back in my day guy. Until this point, I didn't feel old enough that I could say that. Now I'm starting to feel that way. Man, I really miss the music from when Howie was still calling the games, and it was like da 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 da, and now it's like some freeform like jazz or whatever. And it's not even freeform. It's like it's really, really terribly overproduced. I don't even know if techno is the word. It's just crap. It's crap. It's terrible.
Right. We're trying to reach the boomer audience. Good job. Good work, Tom.
I'm sorry. I mean, the boomers are not going to like it either. I mean,
exactly.
Nobody likes it. I don't know anyone that's like, I mean, look, nobody talks about it. Like, I'm the only one that like.
And we wouldn't be talking about this if we weren't watching the game while recording.
Yeah, Sorokin was named an all-star just now, apparently.
Oh, holy crap. That's
fully deserved, but breakaway, and they scored. Wow.
Good time.
Oh my God. It wasn't even Tage Thompson. Not even the common courtesy to blow it with my fantasy guy. Anyway, Tage, I think, got the assist.
Oh my God.
That's just pathetic. This team, 2 straight overtime games, not 2 straight, Boston game in between.
Yeah.
Man, are they like, are they just sleeping during overtime? Because the game-winning goal in the Capitals game, 2 guys just went out and the guy just sauced it by them, and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1 and it's a goal. They're just they don't care. Like this team has no discipline.
I think they might check this for offside.
It was close, like, because he had to catch it and put it down, right? It looks good to me, but that was from the way high up angle. But that's just fucking sorry. I usually try to draw the line at F-bombs in the live, but man, that's inexcusable, and I really want to see who that was. Don't even get the Tage Thompson assist. This is just, and also actually, like,
Tom, I was talking to Lou at the game I went to last week.
Were you the guy that filmed himself?
No. I was there though, and I didn't film it, but I said, "Hey Lou, just you have to piss off Belmont Bunch. Like whatever you do, piss off Tom Croza, because then we'll have content." So Lou was just like, "Oh, so just keep doing what I'm doing." Yeah, exactly.
Merely exist. There's Ryan Miller. Good for him. I can't, guys. I'm pretty sure.
Jeez, they're celebrating like they just won the Stanley Cup.
Well, they were retiring this guy's number tonight. He's one of their best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm the asshole.
Man, he's always been like a funny looking guy to me, because he's got like a big forehead and a tiny face. But man, great player. Anyway, man, I can't watch this team. This is brutal. I'm like almost lucky that I haven't had the time to do regular game recaps because like James last year told me one of his friends was watching and told me at the end of the year he couldn't watch anymore because it was too depressing. And like it would be like that this year, but with so much time left. And
Yeah.
I don't have that much time to be depressing. This is all like Sterling, you talk for a bit. I'm too. This is too. I can't.
Okay, wait. Can I?
If anybody's watching, they're gonna stop watching.
Can I? I want to throw a topic out there because we've been talking about this on and off, and Sterling, I want to get your opinion too.
Sure.
So, just the topic is Lane Lambert. Go.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I feel this year is not really fair to make a judgment off how his coaching is because I still think that the roster itself sucks. So I feel like maybe some of this is his fault, but I'm still definitely putting the primary fault on Lou here. We've been calling for him to make moves over the summer, even the last trade deadline. He's done nothing, believed in this amazing veteran washed group. And here we are, unsurprisingly. So I think once we have a somewhat decent roster, maybe, okay, probably not next year, but maybe in 2 years, then we'll really see. I mean, at this point, they're not going to fire Lane this season. So he'll be here for a while, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting take. I think that's I think as generous as you can be to Lane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you did just make me think that it might not be fair to judge Lane against Trotz, like Trotz being probably one of the best coaches like of all time. And judging Lane against him, this being the first team Lane's like first NHL team Lane's coached as a head coach. And the other thing being like he's working with, like you said, a group that's on paper not very talented. So Trotz was really getting every ounce that was probably possible out of the group of Islanders that he was working with. So it's going to take some time for Lane, I guess, to make his changes, find the way he likes coaching. But the thing that I think is the most damning against Lane, and again, it's not even really his fault. It would be any coach. It would probably be any coach other than Trotz, honestly, at this point. Is that I was talking to Tom about this. Just before we started recording, is that there's a quote from Eberle on the Eyes on Isles posted on Instagram saying like, when we were playing together and they were talking about the COVID bubble and all this stuff, like he had nothing but good things to say about everybody he was with. Like the group was so tight knit, but he said that it wasn't about winning or losing. When they were playing as a team under Trotz, when they were all bought into that system, like the defensive system, and it was about blocking shots, it was about defense, it was about playing a 2-8 game, and like that was their identity, and they bought into it, and it was all cohesive. And now it seems like they're just completely lost that identity, and so it's like they're playing to win, but they're not winning, and you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
So I think that's the most damning thing against. Not that I'm not saying Eberle said that, but just inferring based on how they look now and how it seems like they felt about playing, 2-3 years ago. So, yeah,
it was a mistake to have me go last because now I have a lot to go off. And this is great because I feel like we didn't even coordinate this, like on first take when they're like, I'll take this position, you take that position. We'll flip a coin for it. But we just kind of have different opinions. I am fully like they should fire him today. They should have fired him after the Capitals game. And here's my reasoning. Now, what Sterling said and what James said is all completely fair. And like, yes, this is more on Lou than it is on Lane for sure. And Lou should be the first one out. Lou should have been gone after the Caps game. Lane should have been gone after the Caps game, but that's a lot of shoes to fill mid-season. So I hate that, like with a GM, I think the second you think he's bad, you should get rid of him because I'm talking about like the owner, because like, why would you let a guy that you don't trust make decisions that could affect your team for years to come, for decades to come, if it's like a huge trade? Like I'm not saying he's going to, but like imagine he just traded Barzy tomorrow. Like that would affect the franchise for a decade probably.
Speaking of which, Sterling made a good joke about after we won the Canadians game. You were like, all right, pause the Barzy Sorokin trade deal.
Yeah.
I think that was you, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, people were definitely actually talking about trading Sorokin.
That's insane. I mean, I
Well,
get it. Like, if you want to
argument
completely
is, like,
rebuild, you like, I understand. He's such a huge bargaining chip.
So
but
for you to do that, you have to be fully Islander black pilled. You have to be fully like done with this team, like beyond done. And unfortunately, I'm a sucker, and I can't like get all the way out because they'll tease a little bit. Although they haven't even teased in a while. They've been terrible for like a month. But getting back to the Lane thing, so Lou absolutely put together an untalented roster, and then decided to fire the coach that got every drop of like sweat, blood, tears out of it. Lane can't like the players don't seem like they could be bothered to care. And I think that reflects really poorly on Lane as a motivator, as a coach. Yeah, maybe Barry, maybe it was getting a little bit, the message was getting a little bit stale, but I'm really curious if you ask the players right now, right? And take away any like worries about like getting retaliated on by like media or something. Like if the players could say in a bubble, if I could interview them one-on-one and like it can't be recorded and I can't tell anyone or they'll kill me, I think the players right now would be like, I think maybe I'd like Barry back because winning is fun. And this team with Lane has no identity, can't defend. Barry's teams could defend at least. And they probably leaned on goaltending a little bit too much the last 2 years, even with Barry's teams. But this year, it's just like unbelievable. You give up 44 shots tonight to Buffalo. You're getting outshot every night. You're getting outchanced every night. I don't like how they deployed the goalies the last 2 games. I think you should have started Ilya against Boston and Varley tonight. That's something that I think with Barry probably would have been done. I don't know for sure.
I think like I don't think we would have seen with Barry in a long time the instant like 1 and 2 goalie. It would have been 1A, 1B for as long as Varley was keeping up his stats. And I think that kind of ends up putting us in these difficult situations where Sorokin's tired, he can't play back to back, and so like he should have probably been in the Boston game, like you said. So
yeah, well, honestly, it's with the goalie deploying, it's funny because so far this year, that's been one of the only things I've liked about Lane, which is that he's been willing to just be, hey, Ilya, you're in the number 1. Like there's a 1 and a 2 this year. It's not 1A, 1B. And Varley's not bad, but like, how could you not start Ilya as many times as you can? You have to. And, in
even this situation, you have to, but if people are playing more defense, maybe you wouldn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, if they're playing better defense, it wouldn't matter as much. I mean, you saw, more than just these goalies have success. At the beginning of Barry's tenure, they still had Grice and they had Leonard. So we've seen multiple goalies, and part that also goes towards like the goalie coach is renowned for being fantastic. And Varley, actually, before he was signed by us, he looked like he was cooked. And then he comes to us and at least was able to get a few more good years in. But I guess more focusing on Lane. I don't like what he did with Dufour last night. Again, that's like a top to bottom failure because like the GM and the coach don't seem to be on the same page. They're like, if Lou wanted to see Dufour, he didn't get to even see anything. He got to see 6 minutes of Dufour. And I don't know who it helps for like, how does it help Dufour to sit on the bench? Like, if the season's bust and it's getting there, let guys make mistakes. Have Wally play wherever he's going to score. And if he's bad defensively, honestly, I don't care. I just want to see them develop him offensively.
All right. So you're saying Tom for GM?
No,
That's
well,
what you're
yeah,
me.
well. I'm saying I'm saying that it seems to me like the coach is out of his depth. Really seems off. There's no answer for how bad the power play's been, and I know that's more a special teams coach thing.
I mean that's not
but that's
unique
also
to this year,
been
though.
consistent.
Yeah.
That's been consistent from coach. Like we fired power play specialists, and it hasn't gotten better. And that might be more of a Lou thing because the talent just isn't there. Tonight I was watching it a little bit more critically than usual because it's we're getting to the point where like 3 for 53.
Didn't know that was possible, but okay.
There's no
You'd be more critical of the Islanders than you already are.
The other team doesn't have to respect the shot because we don't shoot from anywhere on the inside because we're not fast enough.
Yeah,
moving the puck around
was it the Cap when we played the Capitals? I can't remember which team it was. They were like, yeah, it was pretty easy. They weren't getting any good looks. It was all shots.
That was Minnesota. But
that was Minnesota.
Like,
okay.
It's embarrassing, and I wish that quote was a turning point because that should be a moment. Wow, we're being disrespected by like a 24-year-old goalie who's not even the starter on his team, and even he knows that this Islanders team is so bereft of talent that they can't get inside. They shoot from the outside, and they hope the Islanders shoot from the point and hope that it goes in.
I draw the line at fancy words like bereft. Okay,
I am going to use all the words that it takes to take this team down. I can't. This is so depressing because you're not even in a position that you could rebuild very easily. There's a lot of guys with long-term deals. I don't know how you move Palmieri. I don't know how you move Pajot. Like, even if you wanted to, I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to rebuild, if you're fully out, if this team is done, I don't even know who you could move. Like, yeah, cool. Parise on an expiring deal. Yeah, you could move him. What are you going to get? Like a third to a fifth round pick. I mean, yeah, I take it. Like, and it's an expiring deal. Why would you I don't know if Parise is going to play another year. He looks like he can. He's got like 13 goals, which is probably like second on the Islanders.
Close.
But
it is.
Was it third? I think it's actually second.
He's sixth.
Oh, sixth in goals?
Yeah, so
okay.
Oh no, sorry, that's points. He is third in goals.
Third in goals.
Yes,
so it's probably
right.
what? Brock and Lee?
Yep. They both have 15. And then Parise has 13.
Like, look, you gotta move if you're just gonna retool in the offseason, you gotta move the expiring deals. Like, man, it's pathetic that Parise is as important to this team as he is. And that's not a shot at Parise, that's a shot at the team. Like, Parise should be a third line energy guy that can score, would be a depth scorer. Mm-hmm. On any other team. 13 goals. Buffalo, 13 goals is like nothing. That's a depth guy for them. The Islanders just have almost no one that could shoot. How many guys can shoot on this team like reliably? Brock has a good shot.
Beauvillier, gotta throw him in there.
Barzy and Burst. I will kill you. I'll kill you. Barzy can, but every year we're like, do it more often.
Yeah.
And he had that stretch where he scored in 5 straight games, and I think that was the greatest moment of my life. That was so cool. And he was like ripping him.
My best friend, Matt Barzal.
My best friend, Matt
Barzal. Scored 5 games straight. Mm-hmm.
But like, that's pretty much it. Like, Parise can score, but I wouldn't call him like a sniper at this point.
No, not even close.
Wally, he's barely gotten a chance to play this year.
I mean, Dobson, but it's not Snipes,
By the way, I think they're turning I think from what I've seen out of Wally, they're turning Wally into like a third line hits guy.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
He's been in a lot of fights this year.
They ruin offensive talent. It's amazing how they can take if the Islanders, I'm stealing this from a Rangers fan that said something similar, but so a Ranger fan, I'll just say what the Ranger fan said on Twitter. A random Ranger fan said, this is before the Rangers got going. If the Rangers got McDavid, they would turn him into Barclay Goodrow. That's what I feel about the Islanders. Like, if the Islanders had McDavid, he'd be playing with Matt Martin. He'd be playing with Cal Clutterbuck. And honestly, Martin would have 20 goals just by playing. I actually, maybe not. That was the plan with Lucic, and I don't think that worked out too well. I like look, I appreciate Martin and Cizikas. They care and they're giving their effort every night. And Martin actually, James, do you have the stats up? How many goals does Martin have?
Martin has 4 goals.
I thought it was more, but on his career high is 10. So like, he's like kind of close to on pace.
Yeah.
For that.
That's 5 after tonight. This was his 5th.
Okay. I mean, that's great. Fourth liner, you can't expect too much out of. If you told me coming into the year Martin had 5 at this point, I'd be like, wow, are we a good offensive team now? Nope. No, we're still not. He makes a significant contribution to the scoring, and that makes me really sad. Does Ross Johnson have a single goal? He's barely played. But
let's take a guess. I'm looking at his stats right now.
I'm gonna say no.
All right, I'm gonna say 1.
Okay, yeah, the answer is 0. He has 2 assists though, so he has 2 points.
How many games does he play?
He's played 9 games.
Okay, that's actually a better conversion rate than Holmstrom, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
With Holmstrom, we talked about it before we went
Holmstrom's
live, but
18 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist. So same amount of points.
And what's funny is because the Islanders do what they do, it's not like Holmstrom was ever an amazing offensive talent. He has some skill in a shootout from what I've seen from Bridgeport stuff. In an ideal world, he would be in the AHL right now, refining his offensive game because his defensive game is pretty good. At the game that I got to see Sterling at the game that they beat Florida 5-1 a while back. He had a great penalty kill shift. That was the game he got hurt. So it's always like I notice a guy plays well and then he gets hurt.
See, they're overextending. They're overexerting,
Trying to impress Big Tom Media.
Oh yeah. Is that Belmont punch in the stands?
Oh no, it's a knee-on-knee hit.
I seriously wonder though. I think on the injury he was making a deke cutting in towards the net. I wonder if like that ruined his confidence because he hasn't done anything since. Maybe he's afraid to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, a knee injury is pretty scary. We saw, I think, when Anders Lee came back, he was a shell of himself.
Yep,
for a while.
We talked about that right before we started recording as well. You mentioned, Tom, he has not been playing the same game he has in the past.
Yeah, like I mean, it's funny that what's he got? 15 goals.
Mm-hmm.
He's not scoring them like as much in the way that I don't feel like his presence in front of net is as pronounced as it had been. That's obviously his strength. Like he's not a great skater. He's not like super gifted with hands. So he's got to get his chin and butt in front of the goalie. And I've only seen the butt there this year. I haven't seen the chin. And the chin's the key to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just it feels like nobody's playing to their strengths. And again, I feel like that could be a coaching thing. Like, why is nobody playing the game that is their most successful game? I don't even see Bo get like the one thing that Bo does well is forecheck. He's a good skater, so he gets the puck in deep and then he causes havoc. I don't even see that anymore. Like, what happened? Did we forget what our strengths are? Like, Barzy's the only one. And Barzy could be frustrating because, there's games where he does the finesse stuff and it's fantastic. And there's a lot of games where he does the finesse stuff and there's no one to pass to and he ends up losing the puck.
I'm actually, just because you mentioned that about Bo, though, Parise is still playing like a heavy forecheck. And like, that's what I think you mean, like when he's an energy guy, I completely agree. I remember I'm probably on record somewhere on one of the podcasts saying that I think that Bo and this is last season, Bo and Parise play a very similar type of game where it's heavy on the forecheck, just like high energy, like they're hustling no matter what. And yeah, you're completely right. Bo has been just not that same energy level at all this season.
So is that like a system thing or an effort thing?
I don't know. I can't help but think it's a system thing for one reason, because you said the same thing with Barzal, but in a different way. Like he just seems a little, at least to me, I don't know. I don't remember if you said this. He seems a little disinterested. And I feel like I saw that in the Capitals game, because in overtime, he lost his man or whatever in the Capitals game, like with a couple seconds left in overtime. And, he was kind of like puck watching And I forget the Capitals player who scored, but they got around him. Was it Orlov or
was it the
Yeah, I
game
think
winner
it
that you're
was
talking about?
Orlov.
yeah, the game winner.
Game winner was Orlov.
Yeah. Yeah. So they just got around him, and it then like you could see the expression on Barzell's face. He saw it was going into the net and just slunked off the ice. There was no I don't know. There was no fire in his eyes. There was no I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess he just lost the game. Maybe that's a bad take, but anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't look, when you're losing, you're not going to look as happy, but they don't look engaged. Like I said, they're not I don't see guys playing their game, and we're trying. I know we have injuries and Palmieri not playing. Guys, there's a lot of struggling to find chemistry with the lines right now, and even some of it is the chemistry, some of it is just a lack of talent. Holmstrom, I like his effort, but he's not going to really be an offensive threat. He's not currently an offensive threat. Who else is not an offensive threat? Pretty much everybody.
Can you name an offensive threat?
An offensive threat? I mean, man, I was gonna say Dobby, but Dobby's gone kind of cold. But that makes sense. If the power play is cold, then Dobby's gonna be cold because he gets a lot of points on the power play. Also, I think our power play, just early in the year, was just the play was Dobby shoots from the point, we hope for a tip, and it was working. And now teams are okay, let's take away the point shot. And the Islanders are afraid to shoot from either sides of the point. They're afraid to shoot from the circle. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words with them. I feel I'm just repeating myself, but they don't have enough talent shooting wise. They don't have enough talent even defensively. Actually, you know what? I'd like to pivot to defensemen real quick.
Okay.
Because everyone knows the forward group is not good enough. We talked for a second about Aho, and based on expectations coming into the year, he's been better than the expectations. Dobson has gotten a little bit cold and can still be a little bit rough in his own zone, but what does Ryan Pulock do anymore? Remember when he used to he was a threat to score 10 to 15 goals.
He was like a Dobson almost, not
and that,
quite. But
why can't two defensemen be offensive at the same time? I don't understand this. Pulock, it really feels like do you think, how we always used to joke, he just can't hit the net. Everything's a foot wide. And you talked about at one point, I think he hit Anders Lee. Do you think he's afraid to injure his own?
That was a shot in the dark.
We're psychoanalyzing the Islanders because we talked about the knee, maybe the remnants of that knee injury.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're it's got to be something in here. There's got we're connecting all the red.
Well, because I think we don't want to say that they're just not good, but that's probably they're probably just not good. I
the simplest explanation in this case is probably the right explanation.
Yeah.
I would try to get rid of him, but someone.
You try to get rid of Pulock?
Yeah.
Really?
Someone brought to my attention today that he has a full no trade clause. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Probably if you're Lou, it's too late to learn anything. You're a billion years old. It's like when your grandpa says something really racist and you just let it go because you're what's the I don't know. He's 95. What good is there? I that's not from experience. My grandpa was great. But man, I can he learn at this point, even though he shouldn't because he should retire right now, that don't give everybody a non-move clause. My God. They're you're making the next guy's job impossible, which kind of follows up on my point of, hey, owners, if you're at all worried about the future right now, get rid of him. Don't let Lou sign Simon Holmstrom to a 7-year, $7 million a year deal, please, God. I'm not saying that's an exaggeration, but please, God, do not let Lou sign more guys. I think thankfully they're so bad that it doesn't matter. They're not going to sign guys. And I think at this point, the jokes about Lou going to sleep, literally just take a nap, bud. Just take a nap, sleep all you want until we get somewhat close to the trade deadline. Then trade Parise and get back whatever you can, and trade. You can't move Lee. You can't move Pollock. You shouldn't move Pellick. Like, who are we moving? I'd be fine with moving Bo. I had somebody in the preseason tell me that they thought Bo could score 60 points, and I straight up like cackled so much. I was laughing so hard, and like I try to respect other people's opinions, and I was like, look, I mean, like Arturi Lehkonen went to Colorado, and all of a sudden like can score. But no, I think if you think Bo can give you anything, you're dumb.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't go. I would go that far, but I shouldn't. No,
it's addition by subtraction.
Well, he for sure needs. I don't think he's good, but he absolutely needs to change the scenery to give him a shot. And hey, he always scores in Montreal. Trade him to Montreal. But again, he's making $4 million and he hasn't surpassed 20 points. Who in their right mind is going to trade for Bo? What stupid? I mean, there are some stupid GMs. Okay. All right. Wait a second. You trade him to Vancouver. Vancouver has no idea what they're doing. I mean, we don't either, but like we can make a no idea what we're doing swap. And It's funny, like, we talk, I've seen a lot of people, I think this is going to start to stall out now, but talk about trading for Bo Horvat. I definitely talked about that. Talk about trading for Timo Meier. And I think the smart thing to do is not add. I think the smart thing to do is start breaking up whatever you can. And you hope that you could turn it around fast enough that it's a retool rather than a rebuild. So that you don't have to trade Sorokin in a couple of years. So that, obviously you're not trading Sorokin this year. Please.
You wait.
Yeah. I mean, look, if they lose every game from now to the trade deadline, trade, you know what? Fold the franchise. But I like, you got to start getting stuff back. We traded our first round pick. That makes me really nervous that we traded our first round pick. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it's got protections, but trading for Romanov, and I kind of got sidetracked. I wanted to talk about the defenseman. Romanov stinks. I'm tired. Like, I'm done with like giving him the benefit of not being Zdeno Chara. It's been enough games. Yes, you're better than Zdeno Chara. Good for you. He makes too many mistakes, and he's got this uncanny ability. There's some players that, how like a big compliment some players get is like, this guy always knows where to be. He's always in the right spot. He finds, like, he might not be the most talented guy, but like he knows where to be. Romanov's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
He always he's in the worst position. Well, the worst position would just be like a bad change and he's like not even on the ice. He just like is always a step behind where the pass is going. And he makes mistakes in his own zone a lot. And I questioned the trade at the time. I will continue to question it. I don't think, because the other option was trading for JT Miller, who can't, like, great scoring forward, one of the worst defensive forwards in hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that would have worked. I would have loved to see JT Miller with Barry Trotz. That would have been a nightmare. Guy that can't defend whatsoever and shows no effort defending with Barry Trotz. Good luck. The Islanders would have traded for him, and then Barry would have demanded they trade him right back.
Yeah.
But man, this is brutal. God, I'm so unfocused because I'm so angry at everything.
Yeah.
Very quickly, I will shut up in a second. Pellick is injured, so I'm not going to say anything. Pollock, two guys could play forward. Two guys could play offensive defenseman. Like, Pollock, start throwing stuff at the net. Use that freaking 100-mile-an-hour shot you have. Do something. We shoot from the outside as it is. We're not talented enough to get it to the inside.
You want to hear an interesting stat?
At least make somebody hurt.
Here's an interesting stat. It's Pellick has 3 goals in 27 games played. Pulock has 2 goals in 46 games played. I mean, Pulock has 15 points, so he has more assists, and Pelech only has 11 points. But I mean, like,
dude, there's no hope.
He's played 20 more games, almost 19 more games than Pelech. And Pelech was the guy that's the defensive defenseman. Yeah. And then, so yeah.
There's look, fuck. I think this is it. I think this is this is my black pill Islander moment. This team is done. I'm declaring that this iteration of the team is just done. The window is closed. I won't fault.
But when one window closes, Tom, another one opens.
Yeah, and you throw Lou out that window. That's what you do. No, it's unwatchable. And I know there were periods with Barry's team where it was hard to watch. It was really hard to watch last year, for sure. But that team, at the minimum, I still felt there was effort and that they were just not talented enough. And now it feels like the effort's gone and the talent is worse. So we shouldn't be surprised that they stink. And they're really lucky to have a winning record. They really are. If they did not have Ilya Sorokin, how bad would they be? I think they'd be like 5 games under 500. More, maybe?
Let's
5 to 7
right
games.
Now, they're standing at, what's their record? I got
23, 20, and 2? 23, 20, and 4, I'm going to guess.
23, 19, and 5.
So I don't think that counted tonight's loss. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, it was overtime loss. So,
overtime loss tonight.
So, so I think it does. So, I mean, we still.
How do they have a winning record? How? They're awful.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning of the season, I guess it was just it's regression. Like once we get to the end of the season, I'm reserving my final judgment, my scathing review of Lane Lambert until the end of the season.
He looks like a Bond villain, and I hate him.
Okay, wait. Here's one hot take on Lane Lambert, and I've said this before. Is he
scares me?
I think when you said he was out of his depth, that's complete shot in the dark guess. I feel that seems like it makes sense. Because whenever you would see Barry Trotz behind the bench at an Islander game, he was screaming and yelling at the refs. And he was calm in front of his guys mostly, you know what I mean? But like if there's a call, he always wanted an explanation. He was always like, you'd see him constantly like, putting his finger like to signal the refs to come over and stuff. And like, I just don't see that from Lane. And I know that's subtle, but it's like, it makes me think that Lane doesn't have the confidence to fight for, his team regardless, or fight for whatever the call is, fight against the call regardless of what it is. So I don't know.
He's like too busy applying hair gel.
Oh no, this is not going to become like an Adam Gase situation for the Jets. Okay,
it can't be that bad. It physically cannot be that bad.
Okay, so Sterling, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, first off, have you seen Paul Maurice? Like, he has some of my favorite yelling moments, and he's a terrible coach. So.
Okay, so therefore, everything I said is wrong.
But, yeah. Yes.
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, yes, he's wrong.
Okay. Here will be my pitch for me becoming GM real quick. So I want to have a team next year that can be competitive and make the playoffs because, sucking isn't very fun. So I do agree that this trade deadline, you really have to make sellers trades. I think at the bare minimum, we talked about Bo. It'd be nice to get rid of. I don't know how you're going to get rid of Bailey, but honestly, if it's not the best of deals and you get something in return, you might as well run with it. I think a sneaky move for this deadline, maybe trying to get rid of Mayfield. And I really like him. I wish we didn't get rid of him, but he is a great player in the playoffs. His cap hit is 1.4 million. So at this point, if a team picked him up today, they're only paying 700,000 basically for him, and he'll be great in the playoffs. You actually might get a pretty good return for that. And if you add in maybe a minor deal like Parisi to get something, that could be what I think is a successful trade deadline. Even Varlamov, if the season's over, playoff team's going to need a goalie, you could definitely get something for him. So you start to accrue those picks. And then in the off season, that's where I really want to get Timo Meyer. Like, that should be our goal, is to finally get that one guy. We say it every single year, but we need a first line winger. So if you have that type of trade deadline, we finally have assets we could start working with. You go out and get Meyer, maybe another, not Paul Murray type player,
Oh
but
God.
like
Yeah.
second liner or whatnot. Maybe someone to replace Mayfield.
We'll turn him into a fourth liner. Even we could sign Ovi and we'll turn him into a fourth liner.
True. But I think even though guys like Lee and Nelson will obviously get another year older, I think that's fine if you do those sellers moves that I previously mentioned. I know the hot thing on Isles Twitter now is like Nelson for Newhook and a first. Like, no, I don't really like that deal. But I don't know. That would be my approach. I still want them to go for it next year, but I also don't want to make the next 10 years miserable if we don't have to.
I want to thank Sterling for getting this back on the rails, because it was just me complaining. No, because you made a bunch. I've been so clouded with anger that for sure literally the first deal you have to make, if you first of all, you probably should start to commit to being a seller. Absolutely, you could get something back from Mayfield, and Mayfield is going to get an upgrade in pay. So one of the best signings by Lou. Lou signed him to a 4-year, $1.45 million deal, which at the time was like, oh, that's a bit much for a guy. We don't know if he's going to crack the rot. And then now he's been good. I like Mayfield. He's mostly cut out the stupid penalties. He still commits them every once in a while, but genuinely like a right-handed defenseman that has playoff experience. I mean, second or first, like a late first, like a team that really, really thinks that he's the last piece, maybe they'll be willing to give up a first. Like if you're a team that's like cup or bust, you're willing to trade a first. I don't know. I have to look at Boston's right-hand side and see if Boston would maybe need Mayfield, and you could, scour a pick off them. For sure, if you decide you're a seller, Mayfield has to get moved. Like, you need to start accruing picks, as a backup plan, even just for like, hey, if you do mostly keep the team intact next year and just add a second liner, that would still be nice to see an improvement. But you got to almost start to like hedge your bets a little bit and be like, just in case we're shitty, we have another first rounder now. We got to stop trading away our first rounders and start acquiring picks. So Mayfield, I like him too. I'd love for us to be good and just be watching Mayfield be good, but we're not in that position, and you're probably gonna have to sell him. Varlamov, another good one. That's another one you could get. I think a first 3 round picks for something, or like first through third round, depending on, whatever else happens until the deadline. Maybe he catches fire and his trade value really goes. But I think you could definitely get something back. So those are the two main, because they're both on expiring deals.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, look, if you are going to be a seller, maybe you could reunite with them in the offseason, trade them now, get picks, and then maybe talk to them about signing them back in the offseason if the team they go to doesn't re-sign them. That happens. I mean, that happened a couple times with the Yankees with Adam Warren, which is really obscure reference, but definitely have to do that. Parise. So in order of importance, Mayfield, Varlamov, Parise, rentals that you could acquire picks for. In terms, I'd love to get Timo Meyer, but I don't know.
I'm just personally thinking that's an off-season thing. Like, if
maybe
we'll see where we are.
The tough thing will be that you'll have to give up assets for him, because I think he'll be a restricted free agent instead of a full-on free. Like, that would be great, man. Because we're not in a position that we could trade draft picks, because we really need to restock the minors. Because if we're falling apart, you got to have something to look forward to. And at least, Atu Ratu, I think he's going to be really good. I'm really excited for Atu Ratu. But I don't want them to force him up too quickly and to like stall his growth. So, but I don't know what else. Samuel Bolduc has had a better year in the minors this year. But like the minors are pretty barren. You got to start acquiring, draft picks to restock. Who else did you talk about? Bo, I think is somewhat movable. We might have to take like a contract back. I'm not sure. I really don't know what a Bo trade looks like. I do think it would require a guy that also makes a similar amount of money and needs a fresh start. So I don't think it'll help us too much money wise, but I think it's worth getting rid of Bo. And then there was one more player that you had talked about.
Joshua.
Yeah, Bailey. So I don't think anyone is taking him. I think what that comes down to is an off-season buyout.
Yeah, fair enough.
How much longer is his contract?
1 year. So
Okay.
if you buy him out, you pay him half that amount over 2 years. So you would pay him like 2.5.
The same amount then. Okay, it ends up being the same amount.
Yes,
Right,
yeah. But it only counts half towards your cap 1 year.
Right.
So it would give us more cap leeway each year. My opinion, I don't, buyouts are dicey because they, you're paying guys not to play on your team and it takes up cap space. Now that you're only down to 1 year of Bailey, you buy him out, you're only paying him for 2 years. It's worth it. It's worth it. You have to do whatever it takes to get somebody that isn't Josh Bailey in the lineup.
My opinion though would be, because I don't know, I guess it depends, but would be just let him play for the last year, have that veteran influence on whoever is on his line.
No,
I would just say let him play it out.
I love you, but you're wrong, and I hate you.
Last year, you asked me, what do you think about moving Bailey or something like that? And I think I said, it's the right move, but I'd be sad. He's the longest tenured Islander. I am so done with him now. Like, even the hockey IQ stuff, I know the players are going to say what they're going to say, but it's just not even true. I think the second goal against yesterday, he had a clear breakout pass up the middle, just nonchalantly throws it up the boards into the neutral zone. They come back into the zone, and he's just standing there while they set up a play and put it home. I can't watch him anymore, and I think a buyout is worth it. I can't do another season of it.
Yeah, like I agree. I'm still gonna appreciate how long he was an Islander and that he did have good years in there, even though nobody wants to give him any credit. Everybody hates him. But no, like not a terrible player for his career. Terrible currently. And I just I think the IQ thing is probably a little bit overblown. I think that's like a nice thing you say when a guy is really, really struggling. And I think part of that, the play that you're talking about, I feel like it's a combination of maybe the IQ is a little bit overblown and also the physical ability. Like he doesn't have the physical ability to track back. So he can't make up for his mistakes. Like I feel that I'm very out of shape now. And I played deck hockey the other night and it wasn't my mistake. I'm not going to take, I take no responsibility. I was playing wing and our defenseman pinched and I had to get back on a 2-on-1 and stop it. I can barely do that. I don't think Josh Bailey can do that currently. He's in a little bit of better shape than me, but I don't think he can currently make up for any of the mistakes that he's making.
What jersey are you wearing right now, Tom?
Franz Nielsen.
Oh, okay.
Stadium jersey.
Sorry, just checking.
Yeah, I think they're so bad right now. I would like to watch current 40-year-old Franz Nielsen play. I mean, look, I'd always like to. He's my favorite player. He's one of my favorite athletes ever. Man,
you'd obviously rather talk about him too, or say Sterling.
I think he said. Oh, sorry.
As annoyed as people are by this, until he retires, I'm going to keep saying, "Bring back Leo Komarov."
I want to see how he's doing in Russia. I know he had scored like a goal early in the season, and I was like, yeah.
My
Um,
favorite thing this past week, he just got suspended for 2 games for shoving a referee.
Hell yeah.
Oh man,
Hell yeah, Leo.
that's awesome.
That's so funny because
Yeah.
he seems like such a carefree, fun
So-
character.
So, all right, I have 2 final questions to because I've named myself the moderator.
That's fine. I've clearly lost my mind.
So one is they're basically the same question. If we did nothing, if Lou did absolutely nothing,
If we stand pat,
like literally did nothing, we kept our trade picks, or I mean our draft picks, you know,
our not first round pick, which we don't have.
but like my point is like if we just like had the same team, didn't make a single trade, and just continue to like keep our draft picks, would we be in a better position now? You know, and I'm
Do you
not saying
do you mean going forward, or do you
no, so going backwards, like since Lou's been the GM, if
Mhm.
Lou did pretty much nothing after, you know, like his first year or whatever, would we actually be in a better position now? I don't mean like we probably wouldn't have gotten to the conference finals twice,
he
but would
hasn't
we be
done
in a better position now?
he hasn't done too much. You know, his biggest move was hiring Barry, and I'll give him Pajot. Like I like Pajot. He's a good player. That trade made a lot of sense. Pajot fits completely as an Islander. Paul Mary, you know, right away, like he was good in that playoff run. He scored a really big goal against Pittsburgh. But they shouldn't have extended I don't think they should have extended Paul Mary for as much time as he got. Basically, the extensions outside of Brock, Brock's extension I think was great, and I think the other extensions were way too long.
Yeah.
And you really he put whoever, assuming Lou retires at the end of this year, which I think will happen. He's put whoever takes over into a really, really, really tough spot. There's a lot of non-moved clauses. There's like, how do you start a rebuild if you can't get rid of guys?
Yeah.
And also you don't have the minor leaguers to like step into their, like, even if you do successfully make those trades, and you know, mostly those are probably going to be for like prospects and picks. Who the hell is playing in the lineup? Like, are we going to see first line Holmstrom, which no one wants to see? And that again, like that's not me crapping on Holmstrom. That's like, he's not that player. We're going to be forcing guys. We're going to be like doing what they did the first year Barry was here, where even if you are able to get rid of those big contracts, you're not going to have anyone to play. So you're going to end up signing whoever the new version of Val Filppula and Leo Komarov are, which is, you know, just veterans on 1-year deal. It's going to be a tank year, but you won't have Barry Trotz to coach them into a playoff spot. So it could, things are going to get really ugly. And I'm not someone that likes to just push smash the rebuild button, because I know that not every team is the Houston Astros. Not every team can just start a rebuild, hit every draft pick, and then win the championship, you know, in 5 years. You're like, the Islanders were in a rebuild for like 20 years. Yeah. It is not fun for me to say like I'm out on this team, because that basically means that I'm saying that we should rebuild. I'm really scared of what this could look like really soon, with like guys like Anders Lee on a really long deal, guys like Paul Mary on a really long deal. Pajot, you know, I don't think Pajot's not going to get better with age. Brock's not going to, none of these guys are going to get better with age.
Well, that kind of leads to my second question, which is, you know, is this team less talented than it was every year, like going back? So like every year has it gotten less talented in the past like 3-4 years?
I don't, it's like stayed close. I mean, the last 2 years it's gotten worse, which is why they've missed the playoffs. But I don't know. It really just feels like the guys that were on that magical run, like they're a year older every year, and they're like, Cal Clutterbuck goes to the dressing room every time he gets like touched now. You're seeing these guys are fallible, and it sucks because they're like kind of modern Islander legends, like the fourth liners, and some of the core guys otherwise. But like, it's a lot of these deals were very short-sighted, and they shouldn't have just assumed that these guys were going to stay as good as they were during the playoff runs forever, and they did. And it puts you in a brutal spot when you sign everybody to 5-year, pretty much identical deals, and then you give them no movement clauses. So you are so committed to that group, and then you fire the coach that made them what they were, and now you're seeing that they're a shell. Like,
another move that I just thought of about the first question, which is bad in hindsight, but I guess that's kind of what you asked, is the summer after the bubble when we traded Tays. If we could go back, obviously now you try to move Pollock instead of Tays, but like at the time, I guess we thought Pollock was established. He was putting up 10 goals a season. But in hindsight, that would have been the better move, is Tays.
Yeah. Also, sorry.
Yeah, I think on the talent thing, oddly enough, I think we're way more talented than the 2018-19 team was. Like, we got rid of Kuhnhackl, Komarov, Filppula, whatever, brought in Pajot, who was a top line center at some point in Ottawa. We brought in Palmieri. Even Parisi is like a better depth player than Kuhnhackl ever was. I just, maybe again, that's on coaching, and so maybe a lot of this is on Lane.
And Jordan Eberle. I miss him.
Jordan Eberle, of course.
Good thing we exposed him and not Josh Bailey.
I mean,
that looks good.
No, didn't we expose both, but we convinced them to take him? We convinced them to take Eberle, the Kraken?
I think we protected...
No, I think they were both exposed.
Oh, you're right. We protected Martin over Bailey, which was the correct decision.
That's true. That's very true.
And Clutterbuck.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was the wrong decision. Look, and that's weird because, like, look, at Clutterbuck, I think over his career gave more offense than Martin did, but I mean,
Martin knows MMA. He's going to beat you up if you trade him, if you don't protect him.
That was look, I know Eberle, because now I'm trying to put myself back into at the time. It's very easy to like retroactively be angry. The Tays one, I remember at the time I wasn't losing my mind over it because his first year was 18-19. He didn't even start the year with the team. He came in like mid-year and he played really well and he added offense. And his second year, he was pretty good. And I remember his third year, it was not super impressive. And I wasn't saying trade him. But they when they moved him, I think what they wanted to do, what Lou wanted to do, now this is based on reporting where I don't even know if it's true, but I think they wanted to move Leddy and open that space for Tays, as the younger left-handed defenseman. And I think they failed to find a market for Leddy. And because of the cap crunch and the upcoming expansion draft, they didn't want to lose somebody really good for nothing, which they still did. They still lost somebody good for nothing because they decided to protect fourth liners. But the Tays trade, obviously it's not aged well. It's not like Tays would be putting up that many points with us. Right. There'd be a big difference point wise. But I'd rather have Tays than Leddy. Even then, I was dismayed that, we lost Tays over Leddy, but I was like, well, we got 2 seconds. One of those turned into Ratu, I believe. So that's cool. But I just it's frustrating. That one I'm not going to get on super bad. I wish they had moved Leddy, but it is what it is. The Eberle one really hurts. I know I had been back and forth on Eberle because he's a streaky scorer. But he
at least is a scorer.
Miles ahead, like miles and miles ahead of Josh Bailey. Like that shouldn't have been a decision. And I think at the time I probably would have been a little bit less hard on it. But like, even then, I think I was like, oh, I kind of wish it had been Bailey.
Well, I remember there's probably evidence on the channel because we live streamed the Seattle
Don't
draft.
incriminate me.
And I remember we were both back and forth on it because it was just like, well, obviously he has so much history with the team. Bailey has so much history with the team, and like to play his career out as an Islander.
And we shouldn't have thought like that.
I guess.
Screw that. Like, you got to win. I mean, look, you could give him, his jersey retirement or whatever you want to do. Probably not jersey retirement. Give him his like welcome back Josh Bailey day. And but like, just please win over. It feels like they've just kept guys around because it's like, well, what else are we gonna do? Like, nobody else
is gonna pay them millions of dollars.
No, we can't sign any other free agents. Nobody else wants to play here. These guys have to be Islanders, or else we'll have to like play the janitor down the street on the roster because no one, like they couldn't get Panarin, couldn't get Johnny Hockey,
couldn't get Taylor Hall,
couldn't get Taylor Hall. Like, it's getting really depressing real quick because it's like, I don't know. They were, even when they were good and had Barry Trotz, guys wouldn't sign for us. I mean, like, guys would sign extensions. We talked about this a while back. It's weird how like the players that get traded here, like they give Long Island a chance and then they're like, oh, I kind of like it here. But like, it's like we have to trade for them though. Nobody willingly comes to Long Island, which I understand. But like, it is a good place.
Yeah, Sterling moved away from Long Island.
I'll say this: it's a great place to live if you've already got a lot of money.
Yes,
and these guys have that. So like, this is my imploring to free agents. Your kids are gonna love it. The schools are really good. Stay out of politics. Just pay your taxes.
You're very overpriced, crazy,
they're probably just going to sign.
Taxes.
They're probably just going to sign for the Panthers because there's no state tax.
There you go.
So, new idea. I'm going to run for office, get rid of New York state tax, and then New York's the destination for everybody to sign.
We fixed the Islanders. All you
fixed the island. All it took was Tom becoming the governor.
At least the governor, yes.
And then I would resign. I'd resign on the spot. Oh, what's that? The Islanders signed whoever Matt Barzal's kid is. Cool. All right, we're good now.
So I do want to ask kind of the opposite question that we just had. Where do you think this team is in 5 years? Realistically, not what do you want?
Realistically,
in 5 years, we'll probably have 9 cups. And then,
you didn't say Stanley Cups. They're just cups.
Yes, 9 solo cups that we wrote with Sharpie Stanley Cup on.
All right. This could be my like around the league in 60.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go through the lineup and be like gone or not. All right.
Okay.
5 years. 5 years. All right. So Martin's going to be retired and he's going to come back for like a great standing ovation. That's going to be great. Clutterbuck's going to be retired, so the fourth line's going to be done. Cizikas is a tough one. 5 years. Cizikas
he's 31.
He will be playing the last few games of his career, still an Islander. He will still be somewhat effective, but not great. Going up to the third line, Zach Parise is not going to be an Islander in 5 years. We know that. Pajot, I think if the team goes down the path I think they do the next 3 years, which is really start to fall apart, Pajot is traded by year 3.
How many years does he have left on his deal?
I think like 4 or 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Palmieri is in the last year about to be bought out like Bailey. I think, man, the more depressing, like those are obvious ones because those are guys that like in 5 years, like, yeah, those guys should be just about leaving the league. Noah Dobson, I think, will still be here. Barzal, I think
I think that depends on him, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, like he could demand a trade if things got really bad. I could see.
Well,
him
his
doing-
contract's over next year, right?
No, they gave him the big extension.
Oh, they did. Oh,
Yeah,
right,
he's screwed.
right.
Welcome to the island, bud. No,
You can
I don't-
never leave.
I guess I'll be like it's hard to. All right, I'll say Barzy's here, Dobby's here. God, I'm going to say Sorokin. This is a tough one because, like, if they really bottom out, how could you not trade him? You know, if he were 21, I'd say you're a lunatic and I hate you. And but he took longer to get here. Honestly, yeah, if they suck 2 years from now, trade him. God, that sucks. I mean, like everybody, if they suck in 2 or 3 years, like everybody's expendable. So I'll say Barzy, Dobson, hopefully Sorokin. God, I hate, especially this is really cruel because Sterling's here. I don't know. I don't know if Wally is still in the league at that point. It just doesn't seem to have worked. And
in the league.
Well, the Islanders seem to have successfully made him a checking forward, which is not how he was drafted. He unfortunately doesn't really have the skating ability to, I think, become like a great forward.
You don't think they can find him? You don't think he could be on a team successfully?
A different system? I think. Look, I'm a depressing person, so I think it's whatever I say. It's probably not as bad as that. So I think it's more likely that Wally is on another team, playing on the third line, scoring 10 to 15 goals a year, and just being like a third liner.
Being like an Islander first liner.
Anders Lee. Okay, ready? This one I feel like is etched in stone. Anders Lee will be a fourth liner making $7 million. I mean, that's just like, that's not even like kidding. He's a power forward who, and he's already losing his scoring touch. He's just going to be a physical fourth liner at that point. He's going to be $7 million Matt Martin.
That's sad.
And that's just like what it is. I think Brock Nelson is probably traded. By that
5
point,
years, he's only 31. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're really talking like who's likely to still be on the team. Aatu Ratu is probably. I have hopes for him. I think Aatu Ratu could be a top 6 center, which is something the Islanders desperately need. And he'll be the next center that we disappoint by not giving him wingers. It was John Tavares. And it's Matt Barzal now, and it will be Aatu Ratu. Aatu Ratu, you are screwed.
I mean, I feel like we did okay with Tavares at points in his career.
At points, I mean, Molson and Parenteau had some success. Brad Boyes had 1 year. But man, you could argue it's been worse for Barzy. Leo, he's had like Tommy Kuhnhackl.
Yeah.
He's had Holmstrom. He's had Anders Lee, who's clearly terrible. Shit. I think Barzy's had worse line mates.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of, at least to me, I would immediately say that.
Yeah, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
What do you think our best and worst result is over the next 5 years?
All right. So this is a little bit easier than projecting players. I think so I'll go year by year. So this year I say we missed the playoffs. But we don't miss it by enough to tank, which you can't do because we don't have a first round pick anyway. Because Ilya is too good to let us tank. So I think this year we missed the playoffs and we finished like the 10 seed. Next year.
Wait, what do you know? What is this year's first round pick that we're giving up?
Oh, what's up?
What deal is getting rid of this year's first?
Oh, we already lost it in the Romanov deal.
Was that not last year's?
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, sweet. I'm pretty sure it was because I think the Canadians took somebody with the pick. Okay, yeah. All right, so new plan. Trade Sorokin. Acquire 18. No, all right. So let's see. This year, all right. So I'll stay pretty much with what I said. You end up having to sell at the deadline, but Lou won't do it. Lou will only end up trading one of the three guys that we think they should trade. And it should be Mayfield, but he won't. He'll sign Mayfield to an extension.
Yeah.
He'll sign Mayfield to like 4 years, $3 million a year, or vice versa. No trade clause. He'll trade. No, he won't trade Parise. Fuck. No, he's not going to trade anyone. No, I changed my mind.
Extend Parise a year, or do you think he'll just let his contract run out?
All right, now really, really taking it seriously. He doesn't make a trade. We stand pat. We take it like chumps, and we finish the 10 seed. We don't really finish very close to the playoffs. Probably not as bad as last year. Probably like what last year was like 20 points, right?
It was
a big drop off. Yeah.
This year it'll be like, even though I think this year's team might be worse, 10 to 15 points out. We'll finish.
Really quickly, I saw someone post like a couple weeks ago their prediction that Lou's gonna come out saying like getting Paul Murray back is better than any trade we could have made.
I can see that. I can see that. So all right, Lou retires at the end of the year, having done pretty much nothing at the deadline.
How confident are you he's going to retire? Has he said anything?
I'm pretty confident even if he doesn't, it's the end of his contract, and it doesn't sound like we're interested.
Oh, okay.
What are you going to do? Re-sign an 80-something-year-old guy? Like, and not just an 80-something-year-old guy, an 80-something-year-old guy that like the results have dried up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but anyway, all right. Not to get off topic though.
All right. So basically nothing changes. Then he retires. Then I'm not going to venture to guess who we hire, but whoever we hire gives the team the first 20 to 25 games next year. And then when we're inevitably like 500, he's like, all right, this isn't working. I'm not committed to these guys. I'm not the one that drafted them. I'm not the one that brought them in via trades. So I'm going to start moving guys. First thing is probably a new GM probably buys out Josh Bailey. A new GM probably tries to move Bo, and honestly should take whatever he can get. Like you said, kind of addition by subtraction. Honestly, better for Bo career-wise to just be on a different team. Give yourself a chance to break out with somebody else, maybe. They could trade, if they're worse than that, Brock. Brock is going to have the most value of any of the tradable forwards.
But then my Nelson jersey would be out of date.
That would suck. Look, I like Brock, but that would be, I think, if they moved him, that's a commitment to a full rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Because then,
keeping Barzal.
Yes.
He's like the centerpiece then.
I do not think you should move Barzal until either the team is like atrociously bad and it's clear that you're blowing it up, or actually that's pretty much it. That's like the only occasion that you're moving Barzal in. Or I guess just to leave it out there, like unless a team offers like a really stupid trade, like if Buffalo's like, hey, would you like Tage Thompson and a pick? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. I guess, yeah. Sorry, I just saw a really dumb. Somebody said we should have traded Brock like 3 years ago. It's like, yeah, sure.
What? Yeah, our most productive forward.
Yeah, trade him while we're good. That makes sense. Yeah. So year one, not much changes. Year two, Bailey buyout, Bo trade. Man, those are like the two easiest things. It's like you need if you're a new GM, you're looking to make your mark on a team by making a really big move. And I would argue that the Bailey thing is not a big move. It's necessary. The Bo move is not a major move. I think if they're not good again, I think it's Brock. Cause like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a player that somebody would trade for, which we don't have a lot of. It's a player whose contract isn't terrible. Like I'd pay $6 million to Brock Nelson out of pocket. I would go
Just to be
broke.
my friend.
I would pay him money just to be my buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're still not good, Nelly, and then if we're still not good,
trade Adam Pellick before he falls off. Then
I think Edmonton would take Pellick.
Then yeah, I mean, like that's a team that's needed. Oh, actually, okay. If you're really, really, really bad and you've already traded Brock Nelson, I think this is more of a year 3 move. If you're still bad, Edmonton, how would you like Ilya Sorokin? You want to finally win a cup because your goaltending is always shit, and now you have a chance to be really good. Here's 28-year-old Ilya Sorokin, and secretly we've worn him down because every year he's had to carry the team. Realistically, that's like, I think Islander fans have to keep in mind that we might wear the hell out of Ilya Sorokin because we're so bad.
I'm very worried about that.
We're so bad. He has to work his ass off every single night. And it's going to be like Cam Talbot when he was in Edmonton and was amazing for 1 year. But Edmonton, like, because they were trying to make the playoffs, they started him like 65 times. And like he was good in the playoffs. And then the next year was awful. It was very clear that they ruined that man. And we're starting down that track with Ilya Sorokin of being like, hey, we want to play 65 games this year because we're close enough to the playoffs to trick ourselves into thinking that you could get us in. And then by age 28, 29, Ilya Sorokin is but a mere skeleton.
Yeah.
And
his hamstrings have worn out completely from doing the splits.
you finesse a 2 first-round picks out of Edmonton for what is the skeleton of Ilya Sorokin. I don't know.
Edmonton trades for Ilya Sorokin and Connor. Is it Connor Hart? What's his name?
Carter Hart.
Carter Hart.
Yeah.
On the Flyers.
No. Spencer Knight.
Oh,
yeah.
He's traded. I don't know. God, I don't know. It's very
so the
clear.
next 5 years look pretty bad. In your opinion.
Very bleak. I've seen fans that were fans on Twitter that were fans in the 90s, which was probably the worst time to be an Islander fan. Like the mid, the fisherman years. And they're like prepping for that. They're prepping for like
these preppers.
It's doomsday prepping.
Okay, well,
realistically.
Here's the thing.
And that really scares me because I'm a New York Jets fan. I can't take this.
Here's the thing, guys. This podcast has to end at a certain point. Okay. We've aired our grievances, and so let's end it on this note.
Say something nice.
I got this Mike Bossy bobblehead. A Mike Bossy bobblehead night. And Tom, I got one for you too.
Thank you.
Okay. And Sterling, our special guest, you get the most special bobblehead there ever was and ever will be. The Andrew Ladd bobblehead. It is all yours. It will be shipped to you in 3 to 4 business weeks.
So
I got a deadline trade for you. Straight up, Josh Bailey for Andrew Ladd. It's the same money. It's literally just a move for fun.
yeah.
And both of them immediately retire because they don't want to move across the country at age 35.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah, absolutely fair. And then this bobblehead will make sense again. So,
Wow. Well, I think what we've learned tonight is to not talk to Tom about the future.
Only about the good times.
Yeah. And really, really, really treasure the 2-year run that we had. Please treasure it. As a fan of the New York Jets, as a fan of the New York Red Bulls, as a fan of kind of the New York Knicks. I never get into basketball enough. I'm too sad about hockey. Really, really, really treasure the runs that you go on because it's so hard to see your team win a championship nowadays, because every year it seems like every league is growing. And every time a new expansion team comes in, the odds of your team winning a championship go down. So please enjoy the runs that your team go on.
We sound like such old people that like peaked in high school.
Well,
They're like, oh, I remember the time,
well,
my team.
That's all we're gonna have. That's all we're gonna have when first line, when we have fourth line 7 million Anders Lee. All you're gonna have is the memories and the memes. And really, what stands the test of time? Winning a Stanley Cup or memes?
And the tweets. Don't forget about the tweets.
And the tweets. And the recap videos. And the podcasts.
Yeah.
These are the things that matter. Now, but
wait, sorry, what were you gonna say, Sterling?
Yeah.
I took for granted that last run. I figured when we got eliminated, next year's the year we're winning the cup or whatever.
Absolutely.
It all came crashing down. So sad times now.
My brother just assaulted my eyes. He just texted, remember when Brock missed the breakaway in game 7 against the Lightning? I don't want to think about that because I pretty sure.
Is he talking about the bubble year in game 6?
Oh yeah.
Overtime
yeah. I mean, look,
beautiful.
It probably hurt. The game 7 in the second playoff run hurts more because you got even closer and you were, a goal away. But I will say, I like to be a little bit more positive. I'm going to remember this team, like the core, Brock, Barzy, Prime, Anders, a little bit of Josh Bailey when he had a little bit left. Pollock. I am going to remember them really fondly for being the best Islander team that I ever saw, and probably will see for a little bit. So yeah, I'm like already in like past grieving. I'm already into acceptance and like.
Nah, I don't know if you're there yet. I don't know. I think you made some progress during this podcast. And
this has been Tom's therapy session.
Yeah, exactly. And Sterling has helped you get there. He's because like Sterling, as soon as you started talking about like, okay, like, who could we trade and all that stuff, that's when I think the lights went off for you, Tom. You were like, oh, now that I'm thinking about this, yeah, it should happen.
Well, no, I think honestly, like the effort I've seen for the past month has just like broken my ability to have hope in them again. Like I'm all the way, like they could win the next 10 games and I'll be kind of checked out.
No, I don't think so. I think that if they win the next game, you're going to tweet something like, I'm ready to get my heart broken again. Like...
No, because honestly, like even the wins, like the Montreal win was like one of the least confidence inspiring wins that's ever happened.
Like the only reason why any fan would get their hopes back up for this season is because Pittsburgh and Washington suck so bad. It has nothing to do with the Islanders.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, like, I don't know, like, based on, like, we had 2 Final Four runs, and even if we managed to get in, first of all, I think it would be because of the incompetence of 2 other teams. I don't think it would be because we really did much. And Boston would sweep us in 3. Like, and we would probably end up playing Boston. Honestly, it's weird to say as a fan, but I always feel like I'm a little bit less, like a little bit more of like a hockey fan than like a homer. And I like watched Buffalo tonight, and Buffalo wasn't great tonight, but Buffalo has such a young, exciting team that like I'd rather see Buffalo play playoff games than the Islanders. Like if I were like taking myself out of the equation as an Islander fan, like Buffalo is interesting and they have young, good players, and the Islanders are like very close to being the corpse of what was a good team. And it's honestly just sad to watch them play and not care, because it's like Zach Parise could be doing better things for better teams. And It makes me feel bad, mostly for Zach Parise and Sorokin. Sorokin effort wise, and Parise because it's like, wow, you still care. You should play for someone else that does. Play for a team that cares. So please, if we're gonna end on anything, I guess it's please trade Zach Parise and please give Zach Parise a chance at the Cup. Like, he deserves it.
It's so sad that he came here exactly to do that, and
We will not play a playoff game with Zach Parise. Please, Colorado. Colorado could use the depth. Everybody on their team's hurt. Take advantage of a team like that. Do something smart on the way out, Lou. Gar Snow did that. Gar Snow actually had some good trades on the way out. Ryan Strome for Jordan Eberle straight up. Pretty good. Like that.
Best thing he's gonna do is a 2-year extension for him. So we'll see.
If Lou is back,
Lou extends everybody's contract 10 years and then retires.
Not even, honestly, like if they announce a 1-year extension for Lou,
no,
I'll boycott going to games for a year. I am putting that down right now. My brother works for the team. If they extend Lou another year, you will not see me at the arena next year. And if I change my mind, I'm going to wear a Groucho Marx costume and be like, Mr. Belmont Bunch, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts from Sterling? And I think we'll wrap it up.
I guess the one enjoyable thing from this season has been referenced various times. The product on the ice is terrible, but this season was my first time at UBS Arena, and this is finally the place that Islander fans deserve, even though they could overreact and whatnot. The only complaint I really had with the stadium was it felt a little, I guess corporate is the word. Like every couple sections, there'd be a club sponsored by this company or whatever. I miss the Coliseum just being the seats and that's it. But there's so many homages to Long Island. It's such a uniquely Islander stadium. The organist in with the fans. You have Blue Line Deli and Offside, and they're in the mix. And even though the team sucks, it's nice that for once we get to appreciate a nice place to play.
Wow, I literally cannot think of a single better thing to end the podcast on. Thank you very much, Sterling.
So let me ruin that real quick.
No.
I got it.
No, not allowed.
Hold on.
I'm vetoing this.
Hold on. I want to say,
the stadium sucks. It's the worst stadium I've ever been to in my life. Sorry, I'm imitating Tom.
I did want to jump in because Sterling's right that Islander fans do deserve this stadium, and it's a beautiful stadium. It is a little bit corporate. It's a little less focused on hockey because it has 18 bars, and and at the Coliseum you would just sit and watch, and then you would miss a period because you went to the bathroom. But man, it's going to be tough when it's an AHL team basically playing in a couple of years
in an amazing stadium,
beautiful ass stadium. All right, but
we got a preview of that last year, right? So
that's true. I'm going to first apologize for how awful I was the whole time and how insufferable I have been the whole time. I can't imagine anybody got to the end to see the wonderful thing that Sterling just said. So I genuinely think that when you edit this, you should start with that.
Maybe, I don't know.
So that
we'll see.
People will have actually seen it, or we'll clip it.
Yeah, we'll clip it.
We should clip that because otherwise it's been awful, and I take full responsibility. You know what I think? Let's try to do this again soon and talk about our favorite moment as Islander fans because we need a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
right, that's fair. We'll just
I got some
acknowledging
fun
the
ones.
season.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
guess
everybody. Oh, sorry, Sterling.
Yeah, I guess we'll see everyone in 2 months when the Islanders are in second place in the division. So see you
I
then.
hope so.
Yeah, that's true. All Tom has to keep on doing is keep on talking shit, and then they start getting better.
It's
So.
usually how it goes.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Belmont Lunch.
Oh man, I need to go to actual therapy.